this thing, if I can find it. The Battacor. Blueprint is inside of the energy lab, and this is why I've left this thing till last. Because if we come in here and go down to it, it was the last one to be finished researching. Again, massive props to the clan. They actually had these finished very, very quickly. Now to build these, you're going to obviously have to go mining. The Tepper things, you'll get those there in mining. Just make sure you destroy those plants. Same with the nocturnal things. You do have to build them into the hearts. You just get them as a raw resource. You will have to build those. It will need field run. These things were not the cheapest or the easiest things to build. The enthroplasm, yeah, that's actually one of the rare resources from fish. I'm trying to remember which one that actually comes off, but yeah, as you can tell from the amount of them, and I'm not going to say a lot of fishing. I've done a lot of fishing. I've found every fish. But I don't have many of these because, well, they're just... Fishing, it can get boring while you're trying to do lots of other things. It's still fun to go fishing, but it can be boring. So it needs fish stuff to go with this. And it has that Zar feel with that hook. There was somebody actually mentioned what that hook is actually from. And I cannot remember what it is, but they all seem to have it. But like the other weapons, no polarities in this whatsoever. And considering the way that this works, where the charged attack is basically like the Opticor, but the auto burst is a lot less powerful. It's punch through, mind you, the punch through is actually really incredibly useful on this. You can see the damage isn't actually listed here. Just now noticing that. Maybe it has the same damage. Let's just jump back to the marketplace, and no. Guessing it has the exact same damage, so the charge is basically a better version of the auto blast fire because it has more crit chance, it has more crit multiplier, it has way less status. But the punch through on this thing for this charged attack, yeah, the charge attack on this is very much like the Opticor is. But I guess you could say it charges a little bit quicker because if we are brutally honest here, trying to compare the Battacor with its charged secondary to the Opticor and its charged just the way that it fires would be completely and utterly pointless because it does 850 puncture with 50 slash and 100 impact. This does 24 puncture with 42 magnetic. The damage difference is catastrophically huge. Yes, this does have the 34% crit chance, whereas the Opticor has a 20 with a 2.5 times crit multiplier. This has 3, but it does have a 20% status chance. This thing has 8 on its charged attack. So even though, yes, that charged attack with its punch through is... even the punch through on the Opticor is 20%. Sorry, a 1.0. This is a 2.0. It's double the punch through, and the reload is pretty much the same. They're both 2, but that 20% status versus this thing's 8. Yeah, the Opticor and this share nothing but the similarities in the fact that it's secondary to beam-based weapon, the Opticor's a beam-based weapon. Trying to compare the two past that would be completely and utterly pointless. And honestly, the way that it fires, oh, that's kind of annoying because you have to get a kill to charge the thing up. If you can see it just to the right of the reticle, if you get all 3 of those full, the beam from this is actually quite powerful, but you can't fire it unless you have at least 1 in there, which makes charging the secondary fire mode on this a pain because you have to charge it before you can charge to fire it. And when it comes to building this, it's a very finite style of weapon. You are going to need at least 1 V for serration. Ooh, honestly, split chamber works really good on this, so until they introduce those changes to multi-shot, another V. If you want to add in heavy caliber, there's another V. And then you're going to have to probably put a 4th V on this to be able to fit those other 3 in there, because 2 Vs for serration and split chamber and you're out of mod slots, so you're going to have to add the 3rd one. That won't quite fit, so you may need a 4th V, possibly a dash if you go the elemental route with this, but because it's only a, what was it, 18% on its burst fire, and then, yeah, 18 on its burst fire and 8 on its charged, I could not decide if I want to build this more status based or go for the whole Orgon Scope, bladed rounds, vital sense. Yeah, and I know people are going to strongly disagree, but adding point strike in there, give it a base of 80% crit chance before Orgon Scope with its on headshot 135% crit chance for 9 seconds, and bladed rounds on kill get an extra 120% crit damage. Before those even kick in, it's going to have an 80% crit chance, which makes it very good for crit. So I did build mine more towards crit than the elemental side, so really good against the Corvus. But if you do want to go the elemental route, you will obviously have to add a dash into this if you want to go full on elemental mods, or maybe some more Vs and try and throw the dual stat mods in here. I know a lot of people don't like point strike. I just have it in, you know, I've already said that. You could even throw hammer shot in and have an extra 60% crit damage, and before bladed round kicks in you have a 6.7 times multiplier, because what is it, vital sense will add 120 crit damage. It really all depends on whether you're going to go crit with this, whether you're going to go status, whether you like running point strike with Orgon Scope, just Orgon Scope. But it is definitely one of those minimum 3 to 4 Vs before this will become anywhere near useful, which can be very time consuming, and considering how much came with Fortuna, this is one of the reasons that this has taken so long, because I wanted to put this thing to one side and wait. And I really am glad I did, because first impressions of this is it was an Opticor that failed miserably, because it just doesn't do the same kind of damage. The auto burst fire mode was useful, but the charged mode was just a gimmick that didn't seem to work that well. But coming back to it now, without changing anything from the way that it was or the way that I had it modded, it turned out to be, okay, it's not endgame material here, but considering it has the inert magnetic damage, it made it really good for running around doing those missions on Fortuna. And I even took this thing to the Void, and okay, it was just Maru's mission, but it was still useful there. It turned out to be a fairly good primary weapon. But with the kit guns and everything, the concentration on Fortuna was more about secondaries than it was primaries, so I'm glad that they added a primary in to come with the Fortuna update. This thing works pretty well at doing what it does, which is just critting those Corvus. Against the Corvus, this thing is actually really good. For everything else, unless you go status build, not so much, which was its biggest downside. It's definitely more of a crit based weapon than a status based weapon. If you build it for crit, it can be quite powerful. Anyway, we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch yous next time.